Hi, my name's Sam Funk, and I'm here to discuss with you about wildfire preparedness and prevention to your own properties. Now, wildfire is currently one of the bigger events in the United States that both media and the public interest are focused on. There's ongoing events throughout the country, such as in California, with its heavy seasonal wildfire activity that damages multiple man-made structures, infrastructure, and affects hundreds of lives. Also, one of the biggest visuals from these wildfires, and probably the most talked about in the element to these fires, is the damage and loss of the personal property, such as the homes and infrastructure that does occur. The images you see on the news, the newspapers, what you hear people talk about and how they were affected. Now, the one thing that is often attributed to this when they are talked about, such as many of the places in California, is not just how the vegetation was dry or they're in a drought, but also how the vegetation was dense everywhere, and even next to and near the structures themselves, because people wanted that sense of ruralness. Think just how much safer wildfires could be and how less damaging to the structures and endeavors of the people, the property owner, if the property owners did a little more preventive maintenance to their own properties rather than thinking it was someone else's job if there was a fire or if it just won't happen to me. Now, there's two issues that made wildfire preparedness and prevention needed more now than before. One of those is urban sprawl. It's spread into rural areas more and more throughout the years across the country, especially in the western U.S. This has led into subdivisions being created in the middle of nowhere or far outside of cities, leaving them more prone to the wildfires from the surrounding vegetation. You can see this right here in Wyoming and Montana. Look at the smaller towns, such as Sheridan, or outside Billings, and how they've grown, not just in dense city-like environment, but more into subdivisions and everyone with their own little piece of nature. Now, the other thing is the issues have arisen for property owners that are just not the prepared physical part. One of these can be seen in California currently, as the Sacramento Bee reports insurance companies have been trying not to pay out on insurance plans from those that were affected before. Also, not just are they not paying on those affected, they've also dropped insurance on hundreds of thousands of homes that are just prone to wildfire. Now, there's been court rulings that have said that insurers cannot do this, but they're still fighting it. This leaves homeowners that would be affected by fires more and more out in the dark. Another thing that is also mentioned by the USDA is in agricultural, how agriculture is affected, both in crops being burnt out, grazeland lost to stock owners, and how this can cause the businesses to become bankrupt and go down, which in turn can affect the nation as a whole with rising prices in our foodstuffs. Now, with this being said, one of the simplest forms for both making your property and agricultural ground less fire prone and more acceptable to the insurers is that of performing wildfire preparedness and prevention measures that are done by you, the property owner, the homeowner. Now, there are different types of programs and publications out there in regards to property, wildfire prevention, and mitigations that can be looked at. One is FireWise, which is a community-based management plan of vegetation, not just within the community, but surrounding the community. It works as the community as a whole working with each other to make their community as secure as possible against wildfires. This is a commonly one found in the rural West in some areas. Another one is FireSmart. Now, this is a community-based program that's more pointed at the individuals to take care of their own properties, to save their own, but also in helping to protect their neighbors through their own efforts on their own properties. This type of program is more often found in more northern areas such as Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even more commonly in Canada. Then you also have the wildfire agencies themselves, such as the U.S. Forest Service, that have multiple publications in regards to wildfires, vegetations, and the wildland-urban interface, which is the urban sprawl that we have spoken about. So with all this being said, I'd like to tell you that wildfire is nothing new to this world, as you surely know. Our history shows it. But with the increasing human population and its sprawl into those rural areas creating the wildland-urban interface, also known as WUI, more people are found in potential wildfire risk and knowing little of how to prepare or to defend their properties from wildfires. This leads to trouble not just for them in damage or loss of their property, but difficulty in combating wildfire by firefighters and limiting its damaging effects from having it happen to more people through that larger scale fire that they cannot control. It's not just on the community areas, but the individuals, yourself, and your neighbors to be smart when it comes to wildfires and the safety of their properties and your own. I hope through this short, persuasive speech it has helped you to understand some of the factors of prevention mitigation, their lack of, and reasons why to do it, and not just protecting your own properties, but the surrounding community as well. Thank you. Have a great day.